Well, good Monday morning, friends. Mark Holmes here, of course, with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. So let's get open for business here, and let's wake up the football gods here on this Monday morning. Hope everybody is having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend, and hope everything is all right where you are. So let's get the music down a little bit here. Have everybody recovered from the first preseason game? We've had basically overreactions, and everybody is literally ready to call Sean Payton and fire Mike McCarthy. You know, we went through a penalty-filled game, although looking back at some of the penalties, some of them were kind of questionable. That I don't know that you can blame it on the coaching as much as you can blame it on the officials being a little quick with the flag. When I looked at Terrence Steele pancake blocking a guy, I've never seen somebody pancake block somebody and being told they held. This happened to be the same officiating crew that officiated the Cowboys against the 49ers that called 14 penalties. And I just don't know that you're going to be able to win against these guys, that maybe, you know, that there's a personal vendetta against them. And understand, guys, the Cowboys, we never win in preseason, so don't get too bent out of shape. But actually, I've been sitting here thinking and putting things together, and in my mind, I try and look outside the box sometimes and give you something different than what other people think. There was an article, and I didn't finish reading all of it, from Blogging the Boys. The title of it was, "A New Study Shows the Cowboys Are Hanging Their Quarterbacks Out to Dry." And like I said, I haven't read it or anything like that. But then I started thinking about this and putting pieces together and thinking about Stephen Jones. You remember that Stephen Jones, when it came to Dak Prescott, in the many years it took before they finally ended up getting a deal. You looked at it from Dak Prescott being a fourth-round draft pick, getting $680,000 for the first 3 years of his contract, and then getting $2 million the next. And the Cowboys, of course, then franchise tagging him and trying to. You'll remember Stephen Jones saying that Dak Prescott needs to understand he needs to take a team-friendly deal to leave money on the table for others. So here's the thing. I think it was then wrestling coach of mine, wrestling coach in high school, Charles Oslin, and I believe he became the principal of the high school that I went to. I think it was him that I'm going to quote this from. I remember being in his class and him telling the story about this young guy who was trying to get a parking space, right? And there was one parking space, and there was an old lady in a real nice car that was trying to get in there, and he zipped into the space. And he said, "That's what you get when you're young and quick." And she took her Mercedes, and she rammed it in the back of his car and smashed it. And she said, "Yeah, well, that's what you get when you're old and rich." She didn't care about wrecking her car. She didn't care a rat's ass about how much money it was going to cost her. She wanted to prove her point that she was right. Now, I don't know if that was a real story or not, but I remember that story, and I think it was Charles Oslin. And let's put that in with Stephen Jones and the Cowboys. The Cowboys had a vendetta against Amari Cooper. Let's be clear here. That was not, let's make a business decision and do the best we can for the team by getting as much compensation. That was, I am sending a message to you that I don't give a crap about what it costs me, but I'm going to send you to Cleveland, the worst place to go, a place that doesn't have a quarterback. And I'm going to do it right now. I don't care about the ramifications. I'm rich. It's not going to affect me. I'm still going to have my 7-Eleven wine and my perfect steak, but it's me causing you and proving a point. Pain. So let's go back to that. Dak Prescott ended up getting that $40 million contract. Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, they end up getting, kind of forced their hand. They literally were playing poker and they lost. They went all in that, we're going to make Dak Prescott take a team-friendly deal. Now, I'm not saying that this is the case, but you kind of start looking at this because we've heard all offseason that, you can't afford. We can't afford. We can't afford to spend money. It's not the way you can do business. The things that the Rams are doing, we don't feel like that's the way you win in football. And you look at what they've done with the defense, right? They brought in at least Anthony Barr, they put the draft picks and stuff in the defense. And you almost feel like when you look at the offense and you look at right now what we have on the offensive line, okay? And people have come at me and told me, oh, you're making too much out of it. I told you guys last week in the practice against Denver, Tyron Smith was limping. People came back at me and said, oh, he went back into practice. He's fine. You're making shit up about it. Well, Mike McCarthy on Saturday said, Tyron Smith, we're taking it slow. He aggravated the ankle. We're taking our time. I'm not saying that it's going to be a long-term issue, but if you are saying we're going to take our time, there is a problem with the ankle, and we haven't gotten to week 1. If you saw Josh Ball as the swing tackle, hold on. So Josh Ball does not look like he's anywhere close to ready for prime time. And Tyron Smith, we know 6 years running, every year that Dak Prescott has been the quarterback for the Cowboys, Tyron Smith has missed time. We know it's not about if, but more like when. If we get lucky and Tyron Smith does hold up for the whole season, hey, I'm ecstatic. I'm praying that happens. But see, you have to prepare and plan for time without him. And here's the thing. The more you listen to it, the more you look at the situation and you see that Cedric Wilson, although, it's revisionist history with Cedric Wilson, before last year, nobody cared about Cedric Wilson, but now he's the greatest wide receiver since Tyreek Hill. But letting go of Amari Cooper, the offensive line and looking and not getting actually a veteran presence and understanding that we've got so many young guys, you start thinking about this article and saying that, the Cowboys really haven't done much to help Dak Prescott. And in fact, you almost feel like we're trying to prove a point. Well, we signed Dak Prescott. Hey, we said if he got to leave money on the table for others. He didn't leave money on the table for others, and this is what you get to prove his point, even though we do have $19 million of cap space. But as you look around the NFL, this is the only team that does that. The Rams were in far worse shape than we were going into the season, yet that hasn't precluded them from making their way to bring in more talent. And see, the problem for the Cowboys is everybody looks and says, well, Dak can't get it done in the playoffs. Here's the thing. The Cowboys always have a great front line of guys. If our team stayed healthy, the team that played those first 8 games throughout the year, they could have won the Super Bowl. But the problem is once Tyron Smith got hurt and you had to reshuffle the line, and it was every week just about a new formation, once Zeke Elliott tore his PCL and once Tony Pollard got injured and once Amari Cooper was out with COVID, our secondary guys, the guys that had to play valuable minutes, aren't the same. The Rams said, well, we lost Jefferson. Let's go get Odell. Hey, we need extra pass rush. Let's go get Von Miller. We know it's going to cost us a 3rd-round draft pick, and we're only going to keep him for 1 season. But, hey, this is what it's going to take for us to win it this year. We end up having those problems, and we just do without. And so by the time we get to the playoffs, our team is worn down without having the reinforcements. And this goes back to Stephen Jones saying, well, Dak's got to leave money on the table for others. And I almost feel like this is Stephen Jones trying to make that point to get back at Dak Prescott. Now, maybe I'm crazy, but there's $19.8 million of cap space. Are you honestly telling me that you can't go out and say, we're going to get an insurance policy to protect Dak Prescott and make sure we have a veteran that can come in here and play if Tyron Smith goes down, so we can focus in on Tyler Smith being a great guard? You're going to tell me that Matt Lewinsky, who may end up having surgery and may not be able to play this year, is the backup swing tackle along with Josh Ball, who's never started an NFL game? And you got $19.8 million? Sorry. This really feels like this is what you get when you're old and rich. So I'm going to go to Get Up this morning. We're going to talk about our penalty situation a little bit here before we get out of here. So let's listen into them and their take.
Something, and it is something. Trust me, man. And look, we wouldn't be talking about this had it not been for last year and continuously talking about the Cowboys and their penalty problems. But for it to show up in the first preseason game, the main thing you probably needed to focus on this offseason is something. Now, I get it. These guys that were playing may not be playing a lot, and you ushering in new guys. But from a coaching standpoint, and all of the conversation we had about Mike McCarthy, to see 17 penalties in the preseason, it had me pull a little extra yak.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, after the game, Mike McCarthy talked about his team's high number of penalties. Take a listen.
I think we all recognize that this isn't the regular season, so I understand your question. And as far as last year was last year. This is preseason. I don't think this has anything to do with last year. I didn't like the number of penalties. Made it clear. I talked about it at halftime, and talked about it briefly in there. So we'll take a long look at it.
So here's the thing, Tim. The Cowboys took Tyler Smith in the first round of the draft. There are a number of people in Dallas criticized the pick because he committed 16 penalties last season at Tulsa, 12 of them holding calls. First preseason game, he had 2 holding calls. What's your level of concern with the Cowboys' lack of discipline with those 17 penalties in the preseason opener?
I believe it's alarming, Brian. And the other thing I would say is I'm surprised, like really surprised, at Mike McCarthy's reaction to the penalties. Look, everything that Marcus just said, last year was an issue. Okay, so what's a point of emphasis? Cleaning that up. You get to your first live action, and it's an issue again, and you say, oh, hey, well, it's the preseason, and, things, we'll take a look at it. No, like that is an opportunity to light your team up. That is an opportunity to say, and even if it doesn't apply to guys that were drafted in the first round, that's an opportunity to say, listen, if you want to be a Dallas Cowboy, you are not going to hurt this football team. And if you hurt this football team with penalties, you're out. Like, we're setting the tone that we are not going to let what happened last year be part of what's happening this year. I was surprised at how Mike McCarthy addressed the penalties after the game.
It seems like the only guy who has lit the team up has been Zach Martin, their Pro Bowl center, because on the first day of training camp, it was Zach Martin who said, hey, look, last year we had some discipline problems, and it was because of the penalties. And his quote was, for us, A1, for us to be successful is we've got to be a disciplined, tough football team. So, Diana, is this lack of discipline the norm under Mike McCarthy now?
Well, listen to his words. That's obviously a focus that they're having, not just in the meeting rooms, but out on the field, right? The Dallas Cowboys know they've got penalty issues. Almost 300 penalties over the last 2 seasons since Mike McCarthy has taken over. 266 penalties. That is a lot, right?
That is a lot.
Yes. Penalties come from mistakes, being undisciplined. But coaches have always shared with me whenever I've asked, how do you fix this? They always lean into fundamentals. It goes back to the fundamentals. So, yes, the players need to take some responsibility on this, but I'm with Tim. This falls on coaching, at least this time of year. This is when the fundamentals need to kick in if they want to start seeing improvements.
What do you think, Swagoo?
17 penalties, man. Like, what are we talking? Like, we talked about this for 17 weeks last year.
Right.
Like, and for Mike McCarthy, I'm with Tim too. For Mike McCarthy to get up there and try to downplay, like, this is not a reaction to just the preseason game. This is a reaction to what we've watched for the last year and a half with the Dallas Cowboys. And everybody can pass it off as, well, we'll get it fixed and they'll be fine and Dak wasn't playing and all of that. The offensive line is still coming together. Penalties are penalties, man. And playing in this league for as long as I did, especially on the line of scrimmage, that is something that kills your team, like we saw it do last year. So he needs to have a little bit more energy with his answers when these questions come about these penalties. Hopefully, they get it cleaned up. Hopefully it's alarming to him by now, since it wasn't after this damn preseason game, and they can move forward and try to get this fixed. Because one thing, I've heard this term so much, well, it's the preseason, and everybody is, it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme. Yes, it does, because it sets a tone for how you're going to function as a football team. Dudes needing reps and all of that, we get it.
Yeah, and he has a point on that it's partially, you practice the way you're going to play. And the team definitely needs to have more control over that. Now, what you say to the public versus what you say to the players should be two different things. You don't want to air the dirty laundry and kick everybody's ass in a press conference. It's better to go to the team at the practice film sessions and things and go through and let them know you guys are making some mistakes and you need to fix this. So with that being said, we're going to roll up out of here, y'all.
Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.
You did one hell of a job, and all the thing else I got to say is